Shalom Chaverim.
Hello, friends. It is so nice to be with you this morning, the 8th day of Elul.
Umetana Tokef Kiddushat Hayom. Let us proclaim the power of this day. These words begin a piyut, a liturgical poem that has been part of our Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur liturgy for nearly 1,000 years. They impart the central themes of the high holidays. This is an awe-inspiring time during which we are judged for our actions. And the future is in many ways out of our control. But regardless of what lies ahead for us in the coming year, there are things we can and should do, as it is written in our Machzor, to temper God's decree.
Over the centuries, we have continued to reinterpret and reimagine Unetana Tokef to meet our ever-changing view of our world. We see this reflected in the many different musical settings of this liturgy that our Jewish composers have gifted us throughout the years.
The music of Jewish composer Louis Lewandowski has had a prominent role in the Reform movement since its earliest days. Most well-known among his compositions is the Friday Night Kiddush. He composed glorious choral music that reflected the best of Western European choral sounds of his time. His setting of the opening words of Unetana Tokef have evoked the awe of the Yamim Noraim, and this in general, and this piyut in specific, for all of my years at Temple Beth Tikva. Unetana Tokef Kiddushat Hayom Yehu Nora Hayom Uvotina Sei Malchutecha Veikon Bechatzet Yisecha V'teishem Alav Bemet.
In the mid-1900s to the present time, the music of composer Max Janowski has also held a special place within the Reform movement. Most well-known among Janowski's composition is his setting of Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu. His setting of Unetana Tokef is for cantor and choir and embraces a much more fluid style than the strict metrical setting of Louis Lewandowski. In its unique way, it conveys the seriousness of the text, and the Eastern European cantorial passages allow the listener more of an opportunity to reflect on the meaning of the words.
Unetana Tokef Kiddushat Hayom Yehu Nora Hayom Uvotina Sei Malchutecha V'ikona B'chesed Kisecha V'teishem Alav Bemet V'ikona B'chesed Kisecha V'teishem Alav Bemet. And continuing with the ending of his setting,
In 1980, Leonard Cohen introduced his version of Unetana Tokef. Of his version, Leonard said, "That song derives very directly from a Hebrew prayer that is sung on the Day of Atonement, or the evening of the Day of the Atonement, who by fire, who by sword, who by water. According to the tradition, the book of life is opened, and in it is inscribed all those who will live and all those who will die for the following year. And in that prayer is cataloged all the various ways in which you can quit this vale of tears. The melody is, if not actually stolen, is certainly derived from the melody that I heard in the synagogue as a boy. But of course, the conclusion of the song, as I write it, is somewhat different. Who shall I say is calling? Well, that is what makes the song into a prayer for me in my terms, which is, who is it, or what is it that determines who will live and who will die? What is the source of this great furnace of creation? Who lights it? Who extinguishes it? And who by fire, who by water, who in the sunshine, who in the nighttime, who by high ordeal, who by common trial, who in your merry, merry month of May, who by very slow decay, and who shall I say is calling?
For many, the words of Unatana Toka are the most theologically challenging in the Machzor. We are humble, but not without hope. We tremble in awe, but are not alone. God is with us. The past 6 months of this year have shown us that the words and concepts of Unatana Toka will resonate differently with us, depending on what is going on in our own lives and the lives of those around us.
Somehow we will manage to preserve older musical settings that are still capable of stirring our emotions, and we can embrace newer musical interpretations that incorporate the sounds and feelings of our surrounding culture. We do this with so many prayers and poems, but it is an especially tall order with the complexity of Unatana Tokef.
We thank you for this opportunity to share more about the musical interpretations of this prayer, as we will with several more prayers in the coming weeks. And we both wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Tekiah!